I have both my results. I took the test
Yeah.
twice. My results were different both times. I will share both. I wasn't happy with either. I'm gonna be honest, but we gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about it.
I was gonna just ask him, like, why did you think taking it twice was gonna make you feel any better?
Well, the first time I took it very rushed.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
And like and when I went back and I took it again, I reread some questions. I was like, oh, that is not what I read the first time.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I see.
These are the kind of like quizzes that you gotta read because they're tricky.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have this thing where when I take quizzes or like I take these kind of assessments, right?
Yeah.
As it is, I'm an overthinker, right? And when I take these assessments, I overthink the shit out of the question. I'm like, no, pero depende. You know what I mean? It depends. And therapist Helen said, no, don't look too much into it. What was your initial response to it?
Right.
But what I try to explain is that my initial is trepidation because it depends on the situation. My results made me say, hold up, liar. I can't wait to hear about it, Dulange, because I am with Dulange. I don't know about this nonsense. No.
Well, if you guys are just tuning in, I hope you guys have taken the test. The link is on the chat, so you guys can click on it and share with us right now. According to that's what you were reading, Julancha. My results made me say hold up, like yeah. Oh, that's what you were reading. Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Chubby.
And I'm Vanessa, and welcome to No Filters, No Fears
podcast. Ooh, hello everyone who's watching.
Hi everyone. Hello. Say something to us. Let us know who you are, that you're here, and how excited you are to learn about our attachment styles. I'm petrified.
Yes, and remember, we're not therapists. This is just from...
That is like the most important hashtag of the day right now.
We're not therapists?
Yeah. In this particular episode, I feel like that's really important.
For sure.
We are not therapists. Find you a therapist, please, that can talk to you about this. If this is something that piques your interest, if the conversation gets you going, look further into it. These are our experiences, our conversations, and our interpretations of the things that we've read in getting ready for this episode, which is a level
4. This is a level 4 elephant.
Duty, Mac Daddy. I'm just gonna hold my mug here for a moment.
Oh, okay. Yes. So we are not therapists.
Mine says reframing, which is a very therapist thing to say, but
I know. Oh, and I guess reading is essential to therapists. So I guess, they have to do their research.
All right, we're gonna start this off with shameless plugins. But yeah. So I know how we start. There is always a definition.
Yes. And this is kind of lengthy definition. So I hope you guys are ready to hear this. Yeah. So the first definition will be for the attachment theory itself. It's a psychological, evolutionary, and ethological theory concerning relationships between humans. The most important tenet is that young children need to develop a relationship with at least one primary caregiver or normal social and emotional development. Do you have anything else to add to that?
It's pretty much repeating that about the caregivers. The central theme of attachment theory is the primary caregivers who are available and responsive to an infant's needs allow the child to develop a sense of security. The infant knows that the caregiver is dependable, which creates a secure base for the child to then explore the world. And if that is not the case, it's not a secure environment, then they have a hesitant approach to discovering the world.
And then the second definition we have is for the actual attachment style. So characterized by different ways of interacting and behaving in relationships. During early childhood, these attachment styles are centered in how children and parents interact. In adulthood, attachment styles are used to describe patterns of attachment in romantic relationships. And now Vanessa has the definition of all different four of them of what each of them are, or five. There were like five.
Four. Well, so these are the very basic ones, but then there's like deviations that get more exact and which help figure out what's really going on. We have fearful, avoidant, anxious, preoccupied, dismissive, avoidant, and secure. Now, when I pulled up styles, you have secure. They can trust easily and they're attuned to emotions, can communicate their upsets directly, and lead with cooperative and flexible behavior in relationships. Then you have anxious, which has a sensitive nervous system. They struggle communicating their needs directly, and they tend to act out when they're triggered. And then we have avoidant dismissive and avoidant fearful. Avoidant dismissive downplay importance of relationships, and they are usually extremely self-reliant and can become more vulnerable when there is a big crisis. And avoidant fearful are more dependent on their relationships than avoidant dismissives are. Strongly fear rejection, have low self-esteem, and have high anxiety in relationships. That's one of the fines. And of course, there's varying factors to this, because there's also like, I know we read about the fact that there's organized versus disorganized attachment styles, and three of the attachment styles, secure, anxious, and avoidant, tend to be organized, meaning they can eventually figure it out, right? Yeah. Whereas I believe it was dismissive. I got to go back and double check before I tell you incorrect things. Is disorganized, meaning it takes them a minute. They fluctuate because of the upbringing. This all stems from our upbringing, and it's not just, but it affects us as adults and how we relate in our relationships, romantic and otherwise.
You guys took the test already? Can you guys share? Delange, can you be more elaborate, like on why you felt that way, just so we could read them later?
Here, attachment style: secure, comfortable with intimacy, self-sufficient, capable of trust, positive view of self and others. Anxious, seeks excessive intimacy, seeks constant reassurance, overly preoccupied with the relationship, and they have a negative view of themselves. Avoidant, uncomfortable with intimacy, overly independent, can seem distant, positive view of the self. And then you have disorganized, which wants intimacy but fears it, expects to be hurt, fears rejection, and has a negative view of the self. There's also this really great link, wow, can I speak English today? Verywellmind.com. Podía hablar. And it explains the pre-attachment theory. So how attachments are developed in childhood and the stages of attachment. And then we get into patterns of attachment. And there are 4 patterns of attachment.
Oh, wow.
Ambivalent attachment. They distress when the parent leaves. Their ambivalent attachment style considered uncommon, affecting only 7 to 15% of children. The result: poor parental availability. These children cannot depend on their primary caregiver to be there when they need them, right? So they don't know if the parent's going to be there or not. Yeah. Avoidant attachment. Children with an avoidant attachment tend to avoid parents or caregivers, showing no preference between the caregiver and a complete stranger. This attachment style might be a result of abusive or neglective caregiver. Children who are punished for relying on their caregiver will learn to avoid seeking help in the future. So the issues with authority and such. Yeah. Right? Then we have disorganized attachment. These children display a confusing mix of behavior, seeming disoriented, dazed, or confused. They may avoid or resist the parent, conflict with a parent, lack of clear attachment pattern is likely linked to inconsistent caregiver behavior. Parents may serve as both a source of comfort and fear, leading to disorganized behavior. They don't know how to act, right? That's closer to the dismissive kind of pattern. Secure attachment. Children who depend on their caregivers show distress when separated and joy when reunited. Although the child may be upset, they feel assured that the caregiver will return. When frightened, securely attached children are comfortable seeking reassurance from their immediate caregiver, not going to a stranger. Like there is a difference. They clearly know, I want mommy, I want daddy, I want abuelo, abuela, whoever the caregiver may be. Mine is secure. Well, look at you, all good and put together.
Wow, you calling we calling out all of our
Okay.
people out there today. We're not nice today.
You know what? We gonna get to it. Chubby, what were your results, please?
Well,
let me just be clear. I'm being silly. I am not bitter. I'm just like, I can see where the test was right. And I'm actually telling the test, like, I'm a little bit crazier than you're giving me credit for.
well,
the bus. I'm driving the bus.
Oh no, yeah. Olvídalo. Well, then we're gonna go down the list.
Yeah.
Fearful avoidant, 21%. And the definitions that I sent you are the most simplistic ones, just in case people are like, what's going on with all these, definitions. So it's like,
so what's that first one that you read? And I'll read it out loud what it is.
Fearful
Avoidant. So do you often flip-flop between hot and cold? Sometimes you're confused about how you feel towards your loved ones. So
that's 21%.
Okay.
And that stems from growing up without my family member hugging or saying I love you, or like securing that they care for me. Right. So I stuck with that. But I'm trying to change my pattern now, and when I feel something, I tell the person, unless it's important, obviously, like
you held up the mirror to yourself. You're like, time to grow up. Nobody did it for me.
It can be difficult. Yeah. So yeah. Anxious, 14%.
So that is, do you find that your romantic partner or loved ones pull away frequently? Is the question that's posed. It's a feeling that they pull away. Okay.
So this one's 14%, rarely, depending,
So, I guess it depends on the relationship too.
Right, exactly.
If it triggers similar feelings, you know what I mean? I think that's how these work. I would assume, like everything else is in life, things are triggers, no?
Right. So the next one is dismissive, and it's also 14%.
Okay. Do you find yourself fearing commitment and constantly craving space and freedom? The freest bird I know in this life. Shoot it.
At the end, I am an Aquarius. What can I say? I live it and breathe it. It is my persona. It is my life. It is who I am. As long as nobody's telling me what to do and how to do and when to do it, I'm perfectly fine.
No, nobody should be telling you how to do and what to do and when to do it. Hi, Tiani.
Well, now she's my Tiani. Hi.
It's everybody. Tiani, that's what happens. She ends up becoming everybody's Tia.
There we go.
All my friends, after meeting her once, she becomes Tia, and my mom becomes mom. So, like, that's
there we go. Oh, and the last one will be secure, 50%.
All right. That is gross. 50% with your security. That is not gross. That is impressive. I'm proud of you and your growth. I'm not. I mean, it really is impressive, right? Especially like what you just shared with us. If that is how your attachment style was developed to grow, to be in a 50% secure space, regardless of how heavy this test can be or not, that is impressive as shit. That means, Chuba, you sat down with your luggage and you unpacked it.
I went through that
stuff to the thrift store and you put some stuff in the garbage. Like, you unpacked your shit.
That's why we're gonna make the new little hashtag, little what's it called? Little backpack. We have a little backpack.
I love it. Do you find secure? Do you find you can effectively communicate and feel vulnerable in your relationships?
Definitely.
That is great. And we spend half our episodes talking about vulnerability and the importance of it.
And dying and growth.
And crying.
Now,
okay.
Now your turn.
My turn. So I want to preempt this by saying, no, because I took it. Okay, so as I explained previously, I took it twice.
Yes.
Because the first time I was like,
she didn't like the numbers.
I didn't like it, but I also knew that I took it very rushed. I was in a storage unit. I wanted to get the answers to Chubby, and so we could make a post. And I was like, wait, don't post that. I need to take it when I'm calm. Remember? And when I took it, I read the questions again, and I was like, that is not what I read the first time.
Yeah.
And as I do, I overanalyzed the questions, but then I was like, okay, first initial response. And my results came out super freaking different. I don't agree with any of them. Anyway, so in the first test, I got fearful avoidant 15% in the first time I took it. And I also got it in the second time I took it.
That did not change.
That didn't change. And what is the question that correlates with that one? Do you mind reading it back so I don't have to open?
No, I got you. That one is, do you often flip-flop between hot and cold, sometimes confused about how you feel towards your loved ones?
See, I don't really flip-flop. Like, if I love you, I love you. And that's it.
Right.
Right. But I might, depending on certain factors, I might express it differently. I might hesitate in expressing certain things. That I can agree with. So maybe that's why it's 15. A little baby number. We go on to anxious preoccupied. First time I took the test, my result was 31%. And the second time I took it, it was 38%.
So do you find that your romantic partner or loved ones pull away frequently? That is a very high number for that particular section.
That is right. Yeah.
Either way, we're still telling the truth, no matter how many points off it was.
Right. I mean, like I can, but the thing is, this is where the growth in the security part makes a difference in how much of my crazy avoidant preoccupied will show.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to get there. Dismissive avoidant. The first time I took it, I got 15%. And I was like, second time I took it, 0%. 0.
So do you find yourself fearing commitment or constantly craving space and freedom? Damn, we'd be the opposite on that. But yeah.
Ready? I do crave my freedom and I do crave my space, but I got no issue saying I need this. Right. And it's not really been a crazy issue. Maybe family-wise, it has, but relationship-wise, romantic relationship-wise, it really hasn't. Because what you can say bye and leave from that situation. Family is a little bit harder to like buy from. Yeah. But that's why I got 0%, because in general, commitment, whether it's, we know how I feel about relationships. It doesn't just mean romantic. They require commitment. I'm not afraid to commit to my friends, to a partner, to that does not, I mean, my grandparents were married for 60 years. So I'm not afraid. Those kinds of things don't scare me. I had a solid kind of example. Again, stemming from the childhood, you have this visual. Doesn't matter what else societally you can put behind that story. That was what I saw. So, fear of commitment, I do not have. And last but certainly not least, secure. First time I took the quiz, 38%. Second time, 46%.
So you find you can effectively communicate and feel vulnerable in your relationships. I could attest to that.
Yeah. I mean, from the first to the second test is definitely closer to something I can agree to. I was shocked, honestly. Here comes the bus. Y'all ready for the bus? Shocked that anxious, preoccupied. It is high, but I was shocked that it was not higher.
Yeah.
But I guess it does have a lot to do with the fact that in the last couple of years, I have done a lot of work. Maybe I did not unpack as quickly or as well as Truby. I still got some stuff in storage. But
Literally and
figuratively. But I've definitely done the work. And by virtue of the relationships that I choose to engage in, it requires for one to be very honest with themselves and deal with a lot of things, with jealousy, with communicating. And we know how I feel about communication and honesty and transparency. That is 1,005% all the time. And part of that was having to become, was this the fact, was this the same for you, that you recognize that it had to be not just being honest with other people, but being honest with yourself?
oh, definitely. Especially with myself. Because I could do that with other people, but to me it's like it took a little bit longer. And to go off of what you said, my backpack took, well, not my backpack, but my luggage took a little while to unpack. Okay, it wasn't that quick. It wasn't that quick.
Okay, that makes me feel like I can make it. I can make it.
Couple of years, 6 years or so. Okay,
But I do feel good about that because I know that as difficult as being vulnerable can be, if I've chosen to engage in an invested relationship with anyone, right? And commit to being present and showing up, then I'm going to be vulnerable. You're going to see me cry. You're going to see the ugly. You know what I mean? It might be difficult for me to share other things depending on what you've shown or shared you're okay receiving.
right.
And I start to be precautious. But for the most part, I don't got a problem breaking the fuck down.
We do not, hence why we're in this podcast. This is the epitome of what this is.
I also don't have an issue with intimacy. Do you find that you because I know that that's a lot insecure, that like you're okay with being intimate, whatever that means, because intimacy, much like relationship, isn't just sex.
Yeah, it's a wide range, and yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I don't like hugging people, but that's besides the point.
But yeah, but that's physical affection. That's
To me, it's not just physical. To me,
right.
That's why, But right. Yeah, like any other type of intimacy, to me, yeah, no, it's easy for me. I don't find it's not difficult, unless obviously I state otherwise. But no, it's not a problem.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend yesterday, day before yesterday, and they said something that I say pretty much all the time, but like sometimes when you say shit, you think it's only you feeling that way and thinking that way.
Yeah.
But we talked about holding yourself accountable, that after a certain amount of like failed relationships, you start to not failed. Let me clarify. Let me fix that. Of relationships gone awry.
Yeah.
Or relationships that have ended, or people have parted ways. You have to start recognizing your patterns. It's not just always like, I was done wrong, so and so did me wrong, or this was bad, and fuck it all to hell. You have to like flip the mirror and be like, okay, the common denominator, right, is me. Like in these, and it's not saying that you did something bad, but what can you do different, right? To avoid certain things, certain heartaches for yourself, certain confusions, conflict for yourself. And that's hard. People don't want to do that because they don't want to accept that maybe they're the ones that did wrong by the other person, or that they're the ones that did wrong by themselves, like
Right.
to themselves, and not stepping away. Um, that one's rough. And
Yeah,
I loved hearing them say that. It made me really happy
it's like
because I,
recognizing the patterns. Yeah. And it's like, but wait, why did this one didn't work and why this one didn't work? And then at the end, you see the same things and like, oh, okay, I really gotta work on this one. I really
yeah,
gotta
we
work
always
on
want
this.
to justify. We always want to justify why we did something. No, but because it made me feel, especially if it's right. And the thing is, we got to throw it back. That's why you go back to the unpacking. You got to throw it back way, way back. Other relationships, other things of why certain things are your triggers, or, and learn to also express that to people. Because if somebody really cares, they will make it a point to not push those buttons and to communicate with you in a way that's going to be productive, right? To your relationship versus like staying in the same shit, dándole 3000 vueltas. You feel me? But if you're always like, it's all in your head, that's you. Besides the fact that you're gaslighting the person, you're taking zero responsibility for what maybe you actually did do.
Right. You want
Um,
to read the lunch? Because she sent a huge paragraph.
yeah, I saw that. You know why it sounded mean. That's why Solange didn't like the test. But seriously, I was not expecting what I got because I thought mine would be secure because of how I love, how I care for people, and how I value those I have in my life. But romance-wise, apparently, I am not what I thought. My result was fearful avoidant and secure, but they say it's fearful avoidant. Whatever, cry face. Don't be cry
Okay.
face. Don't be cry face. Fearful. Listen, hold on. Let's delve into that for a moment. I'm gonna look it
Right.
up.
I need to understand why. Julanch, if you're still on, I need to understand why 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 do you think that fearful, avoidant, and secure is not it's not what it is. Like, have you seen your patterns? Like, I don't know, deep look deep down and like I don't know, go through it. Maybe
Okay.
your back is
So
bigger than you thought.
so there's avoidant versus anxious, right?
Oh,
Secure is a different animal. So anxious, and then you have avoidant, dismissive, or fearful avoidant, right? Um, an avoidant attachment style is the following. Someone with an avoidant attachment style might think or feel. Anyone who got an avoidant anything, listen up. And Dulange, maybe this will help clarify some things as to why you might fall there.
right.
Because something I also learned from another friend, is we love and we give and we do in a certain way, and we begin to confuse love with enabling certain patterns of the other person, certain behaviors from the other person, right? So it's not entirely about how you do, it's how your giving gets responded to, and how
Yeah.
that makes you feel, right? How that makes you in turn react. So I don't like talking about my feelings. I pride myself on being independent and doing things on my own. Things don't really bother me. People always let me down. I don't need help from anyone. My eyes just went cross-eyed and the hope thing moved. I apologize. Okay, here we go. I'm back. Ay, Dios. This is making me dizzy. Um, Relationships are a lot of work. I'm not sure it's worth it. Most of the people I date want too much. Again, we don't have to place this strictly on dating. Too much closeness too fast. Feelings are overrated. I love you, but I don't want to spend every night together. I'm not avoidant, and I'm okay with that.
For which one was that one? For just any
Or
avoidant
an
at all?
avoidant attachment style.
Oh, okay, I didn't like
I'm
any
not
of those.
ready to move in with you. I don't think I'm the marrying type. I don't need anything from anyone. I need time to myself. Everybody needs time to themselves. I'm
Right.
not going to change for anyone. See, this is where I have issues. And that's that like I can't say I have issues because I know this is like, internet quick search. There's a lot more depth to this that a professional, hashtag we're not therapists, can get
No.
into because obviously we all need time to ourselves. Self-care is important. Attachment to self is
Indeed.
important to a degree. Like we
Yeah.
can't go crazy pants. We can't. Extremes, excess within control. Um,
Exactly.
and then of course we have, a ver, ¿dónde puse el otro? Then you have the anxious attachment styles. This is what they say. I want to get close to you, but I'm not sure you want to be emotionally close to me. I want to be around you constantly or have constant contact with you to reassure me of your love and commitment. I've learned that that's not that important. That's why my secure went up because I used to be that.
Yeah.
I still have my moments that I require. I do need some reassurance in some way. I don't want to think that I'm in a relationship by my damn self.
Right.
I don't think anybody wants to feel that way. But I definitely recognize that that's just me projecting my shit.
Yeah, but either way, sometimes people can make you feel like you are alone. So it's not
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
100% you projecting. Sometimes it is the other person just detaching me, like whatever.
But then you need to read into that too. Intel is intel, good, bad, or ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And not ignore it
Exactly.
or justify it, right? I want to do. I feel anxious about whether our relationship will last. I worry you'll leave. I question whether you love me as much as I love you. Oof. I want you
Wow.
to reassure me of your love.
For
I
which one's
wonder
this?
if there's some, huh?
Sorry, for which one's this one again?
This is anxious, the anxious attachment style.
Oh, okay.
Um, I wonder if there's something wrong with me that makes you pull away.
Mm.
I don't like to be alone. I've been told I'm needy or high maintenance. I would just like to say I am not a fan of anyone calling anyone needy. We are human, we got needs.
Yeah.
That somebody can meet them or not, that's a different story. But calling someone needy just because it's not something that you can relate to is not fair. You are not needy, you have needs. There is a difference.
Exactly.
If you can meet them, then say, I cannot meet them. Maybe you should find someone who can, or I will try. But don't call somebody needy because that's some bullshit.
We do not agree. Yep. I thought there were more. I don't know.
Anxious was actually shorter than I thought.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, okay.
I thought that was, yeah.
You know what? These attachment styles were reminding me of the love languages.
Oh, yeah. Well, all of these things play hand in hand. The more you understand how you love, why you love, and all of those things, it here's the thing. There's people that are gonna say, "Oh, but it takes the magic and the mystery of falling in love and figuring each other out." But it also takes away the potentially causing more harm to someone. You could potentially be missing out on your lifelong partner because you both did so much damage to one another that you don't want to see each other's face.
Exactly. Like learning about yourself and how you love and how you are and what triggers you when X, Y, and Z can make you a fucking better human, a better person deep down. You just have to want to try and change
Yep.
your patterns and your behaviors.
Wow.
What happened?
So then, of course, you have. So you see how you have that chart that's split in four,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, that chart you can mix match, right? So you have anxious avoidant. So you're anxious, but you also that that's a lot going on
You
emotionally.
saying it sounded like a lot.
Woof. The relationship is an emotional token economy. When our emotional reactions become a form of currency which we use to control, dominate the economy of the relationship. We may be together on the surface and in name, but the emotional and mental connection just isn't there.
Oh, that's not definitely not worth being
The
in.
arguments may be centered around something concrete and seemingly unimportant, but are really metaphors for levels of intimacy or lack thereof between you. That's just going in deeper. That's
Oh yeah, that's
and it's not a thing of like scary, like, oh, I feel secure, baby, but relationship wise, I have so much to learn. Shy face. Well, good for you for acknowledging that, Dulange. That takes cojones. No, that
right.
takes ovarios. You have ovaries. Good for you. Like it takes a lot to recognize that. And I agree the fact that there's certain relationships that you feel more secure with. I know I feel secure in some of my relationships and I feel anxious as hell in another one.
Right.
And it has to do because of how that relationship has developed or what that person has triggered in me to feel this
Yeah.
insecurity, right? And it's also their actions and their own attachment style, right? Reflecting to me. If I have somebody willing to meet me where I'm at, there's more potential for there to be progress and success. If somebody, if this is what you're running into,
Yeah.
you're going to run into that until you both want to not run into it anymore. I think it's fair to say this. These quizzes and these assessments of these attachment styles by no means says that you are stuck being that for the rest of your life
Oh,
or that you cannot be in a relationship with someone that is like that or have a relationship if you are a person that has those attachment styles that are insecure. And it's not like secure is the only way to be. Even secure people have like secure relationships have, and I'm so glad that you posted that one today because it's true. Even secure attachment style individuals have moments that are not so secure.
yeah, it happens to me
All I want to
often.
do is pregnant, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's intense. Um, I think it's difficult because it requires us being very honest and very vulnerable about our upbringing right now, right?
And that's the thing, people don't want to sit with the uncomfortable, so they don't want to sift through that.
Right. And recognizing and having to remember certain things that you may not want to remember,
Yeah.
right? Situations where your caregiver or caregivers uh, may have failed you. And again, let us be clear. Sometimes the caregiver, right, this attachment style that we develop isn't just because our caregiver was a bad person, right? There are parents that unfortunately create this kind of attachment style in their children because they had, you know, because of life circumstance. One of the examples that I saw in a video that I watched was that the father, right? There's a mother and a father, and the father passed away. Did you see that video? I sent you that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the father passes away, right? The kids, there's three kids. One is 6, which has already developed quite a bit. One is 3, and the other one is a newborn, right? So at the age of 6, at this stage in the relationship, the kids are very loved, right? And they get like physical affection and they get all of those things. The father passes away, and now the mother is left alone to care for a 6, a 3, and a newborn. The 6-year-old is already far enough developmentally that they have a security in that relationship. They know that even if mom goes away for a time or is busy, mom is coming back, right? They've
Right.
already not adult juice. Yeah, no, not adult juice. Not today. Uh, the baby, the younger one, the 3-year-old,
Yeah.
has more difficulty and feels mom very distant. And when mom finally does come to give them attention, they are hesitant to receive it. Like, I don't want it now because they're not sure it'll stay. They think it's going to be taken away, right?
Right.
And the same might apply to the even younger one, or they may not even remember whatever that. Actually, no, it's even more different for the newborn because their only experience is no mom,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Mom is constantly working. And mom, on the other hand, is trying to be as supportive and present as possible, but has to raise 3 kids, has to maintain a full-time job, and has to take care of a household. So this is the same mother who was loving before and has to deal with the loss and mourning of their spouse. So this is the same parent that is loving, that has that capability within them. They have just, all this has been thrust upon them. And then, of course, there's the inexcusable ones, which are just shitty parents. And I don't feel bad saying that because there's some out there, you know, that abuse their children.
Right.
So so there's different types of situations, and I don't think any of us should feel bad or ashamed to have to go back to those kinds of memories and deal with them. And it also sometimes, in going back to those memories, helps us recognize and be a little bit more grateful to our parents, good, bad, or ugly.
Not
Because if
you
they
can say
were
that.
shitty and they were shitty, you're grateful that you know not to be that shit. It's your choice. It's a freaking choice.
Right.
Um,
You have an example right there. Follow it to either you follow it or you follow it in the opposite direction and become better than they were.
uh-huh.
That's exactly what I did because I was like, I am not repeating my parents' footsteps.
Right,
They were not good ones.
right. Or you
So
look back and you think that it was as shitty as it was, but when you look back, you recognize what your parent was dealing with, and you're like, okay,
I
like,
did that,
you
and I'm
know,
like,
they did the best they could with what they had, but and you can still choose to do better, right? Or be different, grow from that, not maintain the cycle.
right. And that's the thing. Like I went through that, and I'm like, yeah, they didn't do everything they could. They didn't. They didn't care. So in my end, it's like I went, I looked, I took that bag. That's the bag that went through the garbage. Okay, because
Yeah.
I was like, that bag was not full of anything good. So yeah, and
And
that's
we
the
all
thing.
do it.
Yeah, but you have to sit there and be uncomfortable with it, even if you're like 40 years later, 50 years later, just sit through it. And the sooner you do it, the better you go on with your life without having to feel that from your childhood, that trauma.
Yeah.
So
And we all do it that, you know, we say when I have kids, right? And if your choice is that you don't want to have children in your life, you have nieces or nephews, or you have your friends that have children, that you somehow impact their life, right? Right? Or if you're a caregiver to a child in any way, right? If that is your choice, we all say, I'm not going to do that to my kid or whatever. It is a choice, and you have to be aware of what the hell did it to you, so that you don't pass on that same attachment style to someone else that could be detrimental to how they build their relationships, or how they approach the world, because it's not just relationships. What you read at the beginning, it's how they approach the world.
the, yeah.
And so many of us approach the world with fear and being trepidatious, like something is going to go wrong, because our commitment, our fears of commitment and things going wrong and losing things isn't just people. It's that job, right? It's the
Right.
taking the risk for whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to unfortunately you're gonna go through with it whether you're alone or not, but you're gonna have to go through with it and work through it.
It's a it's a lot.
I know, I see you thinking over there.
I will accept my anxious avoidant, and I am proud of my secure. I still think the test was a little off.
Whatever you said at the end.
Exactly.
Mm.
Man.
So you got some quotes for us today?
Quotey quotes. Quotey quotes. Yeah, I always got quotes. Quotes on quotes on quotes. All right. So here are the quotey quotes I got for y'all today.
If you guys have any to share away.
Okay. Hold on. I'm sorry. Emotional unavailability is only attractive to people who are emotionally unavailable themselves. When we are truly ready for love, we don't tolerate people who aren't ready to meet us there.
Ooh.
We meet Mark Groves. We can only meet people where we're at, right? And that doesn't say that they don't love you or that they're bad people. If you're willing to be patient and wait and grow through it, great. If you're not, there's nothing wrong with saying thank you, we can be friends, and moving on to a more fulfilling friendship, romantic relationship, whatever the case is.
But to that, I feel like if you're not ready to be in any type of relationship, you should just not be in one. Like, don't bring your baggage with you to the next relationship if you're just gonna, dump it on the other person, expect them to fix all that. So
Yep. Preach. You are not a label or a pathology. Attachment styles aren't fixed, and you can heal. Right? You don't just fix it, you heal it. It has to be worked on. Acknowledge the little wins and changes that happen over time. Your attachment style is not an identity. It's not an identity.
Solange, remember that.
Learn the difference between connection and attachment. Connection gives you power. Attachment sucks the life out of you.
Oh, yes.
Which is confusing because the name of the thing is attachment styles. It doesn't sound. But I think I know what the quote is getting at.
Yeah.
It's how we connect, and there's a difference between it being a connection and just leeching on.
Yeah.
Right? That scared me. I was like, oh, them. And now, these are the traits of a secure relationship. We read avoidant, we read anxious. That tell you things to keep an eye out, or the questions to ask yourself and be real. Is this something I'm afraid of? Is this something I do? And here are the traits of a secure relationship: consistent responsiveness and presence of affection. Attunement, feeling seen, felt, and heard. Reliability, more positive feedback than criticism. Safety and protection. Here comes my favorite. Boundaries.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Boundaries. Why? Because not only do you have your own and you hold to them, right? But you respect other people's boundaries. Even if you don't like them, you respect them.
Right.
I mean, siempre hay espacio, there's always room for conversation, and boundaries may be different from relationship to relationship. That is a fact. But if it's a no, then it's a no.
You gotta accept it.
And if that's something that you're not okay with and it's going to be a deal breaker for you, but that's something you needed to know now, isn't it?
There you go.
Giving and receiving feedback. Feedback, not you're a piece of shit. Feedback. Okay. Acceptance of who the person is, how the person is, of situations. Emotions and experiences are honored. I'm gonna read that one more time. Emotions and experiences are honored. Play and fun. There's room for play and there's room for fun.
Yes.
Disagreements are resolved with mutual satisfaction, effectively and quickly. Disagreements Ah, this one is so good. Disagreements are resolved with mutual satisfaction effectively and quickly. Not one person gets everything that they want and buy, and then you're there with the struggle.
Right. Communication.
Ooh. Ooh, babies. Ooh, babies. How do you feel about those things? About the
I like the one where emotions and experience are honored instead of like being dismissed or like, you know, shut aside or whatever. I like that because it's true. You should listen to the other person. And I like the other one you said about communication. I don't know. I feel like I know we talk about it a lot throughout all of our episodes, but communication is fucking essential for real. Like it is essential. Communicate how you're feeling, anything, everything, all. I didn't like what you did. Communicate it, but don't hold it in because at the end of the day, that's gonna eat you alive, and that's not helping anybody. And then it's gonna roll to the next day for no reason at all when you could have just gotten it out of the way.
Yeah. I see the value in being kind to ourselves when we call ourselves out on our shit. I get it. But sometimes we got to give ourselves a little tough love. I
Yeah.
may talk to myself a little too ugly sometimes to get my shit together. But the fact is, I love it when people are like, you know, they did this to me and this to me, but did you tell them that this was going to be a problem, that this was hurtful? Did you tell them that that made you feel that way? No. They should know. How the hell? People are mind readers.
They're not mine.
How the hell? And like people, listen, I pride myself in like really trying to get to learn people, even from things that they don't say, hearing you in your silence. I love that shit. But the fact is, that thing, that switch is not always on. You got to help a sister out. People are not mind readers. And it's not throwing them a bone, or it's not like you're giving something away. It's like they can figure it out. If it's not the same if I have to tell you. But yeah, it is, because if I don't know, I don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. Like you are not psychic. And it's funny because then they still blame the other person. I'm like, you didn't communicate. You didn't say anything. So yeah, that's when you own up to your own shit.
Mm-hmm. And on the flip side, if someone has communicated to you and has told you, and their actions align with their words, and they've also shown you how it makes them feel or what it does to them, and you choose to do it anyway,
Uh,
that's on you, boo boo. Like when you incur the wrath, you go like you should have known. And now if you're only making a choice that affects you, and it shouldn't affect the other person, then they got to sit with that and figure that out if they want to. But more than that, even, it's like, if they've made a choice knowing that it's going to affect you, they could have communicated that too. Kind of like, I'm going to let you know this is going to happen. And I thought about it, and I know you don't love it, but this is something that I feel I need to do with myself. That will also change the outcome. And you're also allowing them their choice to either walk away, giving them indirectly tools to deal with it. It's not your job to fix it for them, but you're making it easier than having to, like, on top of that, feel that you were dishonest or that you were manipulative. You know what I'm saying? What Krisha said. You gonna read? Okay. I was gonna. Are you gonna read it?
You want me to read it? It says, Krisha says, I hate it when people are passive aggressive instead of just communicating what hurt them. Yeah. That passive aggressive.
And not thinking that they're passive aggressive.
Exactly. See, I could admit when I'm gonna be passive aggressive and petty at the same time. No, I'm gonna do it on purpose, but I know what I did. But some people cannot admit to that, and they're just doing it because they're thinking with their emotions first and not with the logical sense. Should I be mad at this? Or wait, should I communicate?
And that's yeah. Yeah. Oh,
you're reading Dulange. Here you go.
I'm gonna read Dulange. Okay. You are so right. No one can read minds yet. Not yet. No, yet, at least, right? But it's the expectation. I thought you would get my nonverbal gestures kind of thing. I get you. I know where you're going, Dulange. That's why we get hurt. Yes. But are we hurt because of what that person did? Or are we hurt because of our own expectation, unrealistic expectation we place on that person? We forget to say something. We forget to communicate. Boosh. I hear you. I totally get what you're saying because I have felt that. Like, I'm like, you know me so well and for so long, and we've been through a similar situation that you should know what this does to me. It takes a lot from both sides, right? It takes us being accountable for ourselves, and it also takes being aware of the people around us. Because sometimes we're so envuelto in our own life, in our own head, and in our own shit, and we cross that we cross the line of boundary to selfishness, and we don't see what's happening around us and how it can be and how it's affecting someone else. And that's when these things happen. But then if it does happen and it's just really is, wait, se me fue, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
Right.
Then communicate, right? What Dulan just saying, communicate, hey, you totally missed this, but this really hurt. Or this caused me this. But don't think they should have just known.
And also to that, it's like, let's say you're having a conversation with somebody and you accidentally miss certain parts of the conversation, and you realize that, admit that to yourself and admit it to the other person. I'm sorry, I apologize. I missed a couple of things and I'm sorry, but I did go through it again and I understand where you're coming from or what happened. But not everybody's like that, and I get it. Not everybody's gonna sit there and be like, oh, let me go through with it. And I get it. But these are baby steps that you could take. They still lead you forward, they still lead you to better, and that's all you could do,
Yeah. And there's this thing. So in cognitive behavioral therapy, there's this idea of the three minds. I'm going to explain this completely wrong. I wish therapist Helen would pop in and say something. But she'll be here next week. And probably talk more about this. So, and this I think ties in really well to what we're talking about right now, to attachment styles. And like you said, it brings in love languages. How do we respond to things? There's three minds: the rational mind, the emotional mind, and then there's the wise mind. Yeah. So the rational mind says what makes sense, decisions based on logic and past events, and suppresses or ignores emotions, right? What does that sound like? Like avoidant, right? So they're very strict. It's that is the fact, they know, and that is the fact that is, right? Only that opinion. And then the emotional mind, I tend to work a lot for my emotional mind. What feels good? Reactive or defensive, right? So you're reactive and defensive versus having the communication. Yeah. And they're very often opposed to the rational mind. They're the complete opposite side of the spectrum. And then you have where you work really hard to be, right? Where we've unpacked enough of the luggage where we try to work hard to be in this space, which is the wise mind. Balanced. You honor emotions and strive to act rationally, right? Not just logically, not just emotionally, rationally. And you're mindful of yourself and of others. And the most important part about wise mind and about cognitive behavioral therapy is listening, which grows in the mindfulness.
Right, that's the most important one. But don't listen to what is it? Don't listen to just talk back, like to answer. Listen to understand.
Yes. Where do you think you live most? Rational, wise, or emotional? Rational. I tend to be more emotional, but I fight hard to go wise. But I gotta go through the spiral before I can be like, okay, I'm sorry that it was a hot fucking crazy mess.
Yeah, I'm very rational, very logical, very in tune to that. Like, and then I jump
But I've
straight to the
seen you do the work and be like, okay. There's times when will apologize for being dry or being like to the point. I'm like, we were working. We were in the zone. But they apologize because they think that maybe I got hurt because I'm an emotional person. But I don't take it that way. But
Yeah.
in you're doing that, that's you being in your wise mind and being mindful and conscientious
Yeah.
of me. So see, we all come back to our wise mind at some point. The goal is
That's
to start from the wise mind, and if we go a little crazy to the left or the right, we come back. But for
yeah.
the most part, as we're growing and learning and healing, we start at the left and the right and somehow end up in the middle.
Which is good. It's not that bad. I mean, don't stray too much to the far to the left. Balance. I get it. Balance.
It's a little bit everything. That's why they use always for this. They use a Venn diagram. You have the emotional, you have rational, and they overlap. And wise mind is somewhere in the middle because balance, balance.
None of
It's a
those in
balance.
order.
Do you have any book?
Oh no, Chewy, no Chewy's book one on this one. I thought this was too much. Like, I don't know. I didn't think that any.
There's workbooks and stuff, and there's definitely books that can be read. If you're really curious about it, and you're already in therapy or gonna go to therapy, or if you've got, because this is something for yourself. You do it on your own. Right. How now, and if it's affecting an already existing relationship, whether in a family dynamic or a romantic, then it's your choice whether you want to go to couples therapy or family therapy. Oh, Brian! Brian has been here all along and being shushed. What Brian saying?
In my experience, it is common to start emotional and become rational and then become wise as I have more time to process the information.
Okay. It's funny. I find it so interesting because everybody's kind of getting to wise mind is a different road.
Right.
Their spirals go a different way.
I mean, I like that because if not everybody going the same road, I don't think that would be fun, right?
We all crash on the highway. We all crash on the highway. Let me see. See. I'm so glad to hear from you, Brian.
We are glad to hear from everyone as well.
At the 11th hour, but we heard from you.
If you guys are just tuning in, obviously, there is a link in the chat and the link right there that's scrolling down below. You guys could take the attachment style quiz and send it to us so we could see where you fall, just so we could know, other people. And we'll post ours later, whenever, tomorrow at some point so you have to see it. But this was interesting. And the more I learned about the attachment styles, the more the love languages became more apparent in them as well. And then I was like, you could become a freaking amazing human. Obviously, we all will have our flaws, but knowing about yourself more will help you not love better, but communicate and be better. At least for yourself.
Do you think your love language, because getting to a higher secure attachment style was a process, do you feel that your love language has changed throughout the years? I mean, we all know it changes with age, but because your attachment style has changed, do you feel that you put more emphasis on certain things over others?
I believe so. I'm gonna go look at my my attachment and my love languages.
Quality time.
Quality time was but that was done. That one never changed. That one stayed the same, at least for me. But I think what changed was what's the other one called? Not communication. Is it communication? Free
words of affirmation.
Yeah, that one actually changed over time because
Okay.
I didn't realize
In
that,
giving or receiving it?
receiving it. I was in the whole, I don't need that. I don't need to hear it from anybody. And now it's like I actually do. And then I realize that how it makes me feel and how I like it. So yes.
Yeah. Duland also had quality time. It's interesting because what was your other high one aside from security? From security, it was fearful.
Uh, Still looking. I have it somewhere. Um, is it this one? I don't even know. Well, I don't know if it's this one. The other one was words of affirmation, and then receiving gifts and physical touch were hand in hand.
No, 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 no. I mean, from
Oh,
this test, from attachment styles, what was your
oh my
second?
bad. I'm sorry. The
No, no, you're
second
fine.
one, the first one, secure, fearful, avoidance. Second.
Fearful, avoidant, second. One of the things about fearful, avoidant is that it's difficult for them to be vulnerable, but when they are, like they have their people,
Yeah.
and which would make sense that quality time is important because it's so few and far between that you're able to have that kind of connection that you value it. You
Eh,
know, quality
Exactly.
time was big for me. My second big one was anxious, right? That fear that people will pull away. So having that quality time is important to me, and physical touch. So having them hug me and show affection is important because it reinforces it's how what makes me feel loved and cared for. Isn't that shit crazy?
Mm-hmm. That it is.
It's
Dulan
like
says,
that.
wow. Dulan says, wow, we had the same thing in reverse. Yeah. I was secure and fearful. Yeah, well,
But these, even if it's not the most in depth and most scientifically proven, whatever, right? These are, I mean, I was talking about our conversation. We did plenty of reading, but we are not the therapists. There's literature out there, there's therapists you can talk to, but this starts the conversation and it starts you um being your self-awareness of I am like this, I do that, and maybe it's because of this. And before you go into a crazy spiral talking yourself into like a little box of like I'm crazy, read up more on it, go to a therapist to explain it to you, talk to
exactly.
talk to the people that you feel where some of this stems from, and sit in your uncomfortability.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Hard. Final thoughts.
Just try to learn about yourself as much as possible, how you are, how you love, how you care, how you behave, what your thoughts are, like what you're thinking about at that moment. Like if somebody hurt you or somebody did something that you didn't like, don't attack right away and be angry. Just try to rationalize it, but don't excuse it, and don't try to make but just talking, communication, and being honest with yourself. I think that's the most important. Being honest with yourself. Do I like this? What do I want in return? I don't know.
My final thought, um having unhealthy behaviors and patterns is reversible.
Yes.
And the fact that they exist shouldn't make us feel ashamed and shouldn't trigger us to be defensive because we are sabotaging ourselves. We can justify and push our things onto someone else and what they did to us. But after a certain point, it falls to us to kind of reclaim our power and um our ability to heal and make better choices in our relationships and who we choose to engage with and how we choose to engage, um and be and allow ourselves to not feel like we have nothing to grow and nothing to do because we do, and it's probably for the best.
Forever evolving.
Forever.
Stay
You
fearless, everyone.
stay
And
fearless.
remember,
See you Monday.
Monday.